Hello, folks. Welcome back to Max's Cards and Dice Dugout. This is episode 23. Hope everyone's doing well. Robert Max here. And this time out, we are going back to Time Travel Baseball, the 70 Rivals Series. Game number 2, which has the Phillies facing the Mets. It's at the Vet. The Mets lead the series 1-0. We're using the beautiful cards designed by Daniel Forcier. If you're interested in Daniel's cards, I'll put a link in the video description to the Time Travel Baseball Game group on Facebook, and that's where you can reach Daniel. Have a few changes in today's starting lineups, but let's get to that right away. Oh, no, before we do, I have to mention this. The star rating on these cards. In the original Time Travel Baseball Game, a black star would mean an all-time great defender, and a black outlined star. Should I say a white star outlined in black would be a defender who routinely makes good plays. Daniel cleared this up for me. In his cards, the black stars are the routine great defenders, and if they are an all-time exceptional defender, it'll be a black box with a gold star inside of it. So thanks for clearing that up for me, Daniel. Let's get to the starting lineups for game number 2. Leading off for the Mets in center field is Tommy Agee. Now, Ivan Diaz, who's also a friend of mine from the Facebook group, he told me that Agee was a beast in the leadoff spot, so that's why he's here today. Batting second, Felix Mion at second base. John Milner's in left field, and he's batting third. Dave Kingman's in right field. He's batting fourth. Wayne Garrett's at third base, bats fifth. Batting sixth is Art Shamsky. He's playing first base today. Jerry Grody is the catcher, and he's batting seventh. Bud Harrelson's batting eighth. He's the shortstop. And on the mound, batting ninth, is left-hander George Stone. He is an ace pitcher, will affect some outcomes. He does not have a workhorse designation, so he is subject to the rule of fives fatigue. Now for the home Phillies, leading off Dave Cash. He's at second base. Jay Johnstone's in right field. He bats second. Mike Schmidt's at third. He bats third. Greg Luzinski's in left field. He's batting fourth. Gary Maddox is batting fifth and playing center field. First base today is Willie Montanez. He's batting sixth. Batting seventh is Bob Boone. He's the catcher. Larry Bowe is batting eighth and playing shortstop. And batting ninth and on the mound is right-hander Larry Christensen. He is also an ace pitcher and does not have the workhorse designation. And I need to replace both of the pitcher cards with a regular pitcher hitting card. And once I do that, we'll give the gamble cards a shuffle and we'll get underway. So we'll give these a quick shuffle and a cut, and we'll get started. All right, Larry Christensen finishes his warm-up tosses. Tommy Agee steps up to the plate, and we're underway. We have a 10 coming off of the pitcher's card, and that's a pressure play. And the pressure play in the advanced game there's no one on base, so we use the runner reaction board. Oh, and by the way, we are playing the advanced game, so we will be utilizing a little tongue-tied today, utilizing the advanced game runner reaction board and also the various strategy charts. Okay, so a pressure play in the advanced game. Against an alert team, pick a talent card. Against a careless, pick an error card. Well, the Phillies are the alert team. I did not mention that. Totaling up the defensive ratings, the Phillies are 20, the Mets are an 18. So against that makes the Phillies the alert team. And against an alert team, we pick a gamble card until we get a talent card. Turn these over, a little easier to flip them for me. Okay, so we get a talent card. There's nobody on base. It's a double into the right center gapped. Star second baseman makes an infield line out. And who do we have at second base? Dave Cash. And Dave Cash is a star second baseman. So right off the bat, we get to see how the star ratings work. So that turns it into an infield line out. So AG lines out to Dave Cash for out number 1. That brings up Felix Mian. And we have a 6 coming off of the batter's card. It's a chop ground out to shortstop Larry Boa. He tosses over to Willie Montanez for out number 2. Here's John Milner. He's in left field today. And that's double twos. Double twos coming off the pitcher's card. And that's strikeout number 1 for Larry Christensen. And the Mets go down 1-2-3 in the top of the first. So after 1/2 inning of play, it's the Mets 0 and the Phillies coming up to bat. George Stone takes the mound. Leading off for the Phillies is Dave Cash, second base. We got a 3 coming off of the pitcher's card, and that's a leadoff walk for Cash. Cash is a fast runner, and I got to double check something on the runner's rating. He does not have a steal rating, so he gets rated as a 1. Okay, and Jerry Grody is a 2. So we're gonna send Dave Cash right off the bat. Look at the steal chart, and we roll an 8. And an 8 says 2. He's out. If it was a 3 to a 7, we would re-roll and take the catcher's rating up against the runner's rating, but it is an out. So Jerry Grody throws out Dave Cash trying to steal second, and there's 1 away. Caught stealing. All right. Phillies and Dallas Green try to get a little bit aggressive here, and it doesn't pay off. We have a 7. Jay Johnstone's up the bat. We have a 7 coming off of the pitcher's card. It's take a gamble. And there's no one on base. It's a pop fly double over the shortstop's head. If the defense is alert, which they are not, it's a single, batter out at second trying to stretch it. If 2 outs, runner on second scores, bonehead is thrown out at home. So it's a pop fly double for Jay Johnstone. Excuse me. So Johnstone's on second with 1 out. Here's Mike Schmidt. Double twos. It's coming off the pitcher's card, and that's a short single. And a short single. Runners advance 1 base with 2 outs. Daring runner on second scores. Whoops. So that's a single for Schmitty. And Johnstone moves to third. We have runners on the corners with 1 out and Greg Luzinski. George Stone in a jam early. We got a 4 coming off of the batter's card. That's a deep fly out to left field. And a deep fly out. Runner on third scores. Daring runner on second takes third. Other runners hold. So that's a sac fly to left field for Luzinski. He gets an RBI. It's out number 2. Schmidt holds at first. Jay Johnstone scores. And the Phillies lead 1-0. Here's Gary Maddox. Schmidt's on first with 2 outs. And we have an 11 coming off of the batter's card, and that's a single. Now Schmidt's on first, and on a single, man on first moves to second. Other runners score. So Maddox, single. Schmidt moves to second, and let's see where we are. That's 1 base runner, 2, 3, 4. George Stone might be getting in trouble early on. Who do we have coming up? We're going to get Neil Allen warming up in the bullpen for the Mets. because George Stone might become fatigued here. All right, so Maddox on first, Schmidt on second. Now that result was a single with a plus sign, but since second base is occupied, we're not going to try to steal, and especially with Jerry Grody behind the plate. Okay, first and second with 2 outs for Willie Montanez, and that's double threes, and that's going to be trouble. And it's coming off of the batter's card. It's a short single, and a short single, runners advance 1 base with 2 outs. Daring runner on second scores. So let's see. We got a single for Montanez. And who do we have on second? Schmidt. Well, he's not a daring runner. He is fast, but not daring. So that's going to load the bases. And George Stone, not George Jones. Okay, George Stone is now fatigued. But he's going to face one more batter before Neil Allen's ready, and that's Bob Boone. And we got a 5 coming off of the batter's card, and that's a single. That's going to score some runs, and George Stone is not going to make it out of the first inning. A single, man on first moves to second, other runners score. So Montanez moves to second. Schmidt and Maddox score. The Phillies are up 3-0. And Boone gets 2 RBIs. And that's going to do it for ace pitcher George Stone. He doesn't get out of the first inning. And it's going to be Neil Allen facing Larry Bowa. Now, he is a workhorse, so he is not subject to fatigue. And let's see. That's Allen coming in for Stone. And Stone is responsible for Montanez and Boone on base. So we have first and second with 2 outs. Neil Allen facing Larry Bowa. And Larry Bowa is a switch hitter, so he's going to be hitting from the left side this time up. And we got a 10 coming off of the batter's card, and that's a short single. Runners advance 1 base with 2 outs. Runner on second scores. Well, who do we have on second? We have Montanez, and he is not a daring runner. So the runners advance 1 base on Bowa's short single. Phillies are just tearing it up this game. So the bases are loaded with 2 outs for Larry Christensen. That's an 8 coming off of the batter's card. That's a sharp ground out back to pitcher Neil Allen. He tosses over to Art Shamsky for out number 3. But all 9 batters come up for the Phillies in the first inning. And they score 3 runs. And after 1 inning of play, it's the Phillies 3, the Mets nothing. Larry Christensen comes out, top of the second with the 3-run lead. Leading off is Dave Kingman. We have a 6 coming off of the pitcher's card, and that's a short single. Leadoff hit for Kingman. He's on first. He's a fast runner, but we're going to hold him there right now. Here's Wayne Garrett. Double ones. Could be trouble. It's coming off the pitcher's card. It's a double with an exclamation point. And because Larry Christensen is an ace pitcher, that turns that into a sharp line out to second baseman Dave Cash. That's a sharp line out. And runner's going to hold, I think. Yes. Infield line out. Okay. So infield line out. Okay, we got to take a gamble card on that. I apologize. All right. It's a batter's image. The runner's safe. If it would have been a pitcher's image, Kingman would have been caught off first base for a double play. So Garrett lines out to Dave Cash, and there's one away. There's an example of the ace pitcher rating coming into play. All right. Man on first, one out for Archamsky. We got an 11 coming off of the pitcher's card, and that's a strikeout. Number 2 for Christensen. And there's 2 away. Here's Jerry Grody. Got a 5 coming off the pitcher's card. That's a sharp ground out. To shortstop Bud Harrelson. Over to Archamsky for out number 3. So nothing from the Mets in the top of the second. After 1.5, it's the Phillies 3, the Mets nothing. Neil Allen comes back out. Now, Neil Allen is a hard luck reliever. I didn't mention that. If there are runners on base, any star-rated fielders lose their star. And that's really the only issue that a hard luck reliever has. Okay, leading off, top of the order for the Phils, Dave Cash. And this is a bloop triple. Phillies are lighting it up. So leadoff triple for Cash. They're going nuts in the vet early on. Here's Jay Johnstone. We have a 9 coming off of the batter's card. It's a sharp ground out to second baseman Felix Mion. And a sharp ground out, first base is occupied, double play. So that's going to be a 4-6-3 double play. Or no, excuse me, first base isn't occupied. Oh my goodness. What am I thinking? Cash is on third. Ay. Sharp ground out. First base is vacant, runners hold. So Cash is going to hold, and that's a 4-3 for out number 1. I apologize. So there's 1 out with Cash on third. Jay Johnstone. Mike Schmidt. Johnstone just grounded out. Okay, with Cash on third and 1 out. I should have brought the infield in last time up. We're going to play them regular depth with Schmidt up the bat. And we got a 5, and that's a short single. Short single for Schmidt's going to score the run. And the Phillies are now up 4-0. So a single for Schmidt. RBI. Dave Cash scores. And the Phillies lead 4-0. Neil Allen, well, he's a workhorse pitcher, so he's not subject to fatigue, but that does not mean he will not come out of the game. All right, man on first, 1 out for Greg Luzinski. Got a 7 coming off the pitcher's card. It's take a gamble. And a man on first, it's a single to right field. Daring right field, misses a cartwheel try, and the ball skips to the wall for a triple. But I do not believe that Dave Kingman's daring. He is not. So that's a single to right field. And on that single, we only have 1 out. Man on first moves to second. So Luzinski singles. Schmidt moves up to second. And there's still only 1 out for Gary Maddox. Phillies brought the bats today. All right, we have a 5 coming off of the batter's card, and that's a single. And Schmidt is not daring either. So, man on first moves to second. Other runners score. That's going to drive Schmidt in. Maddox with a single. RBI. Luzinski moves up to second, and Schmidt scores. Now it's 5-0 Phillies. Still only 1 out. Men on first and second. Willie Montanez. Montanez singled his first time up. Got a 5 coming off the pitcher's card, and that's a short single. Short single. Runners advance one base with 2 outs. Daring runner on second scores. So the bases are loaded, and the Mets are going to have to get somebody up. Bases loaded with 1 out. The Phillies are already up 5-0. It's only the bottom of the second. Bob Boone's coming up to bat. Ray Sadecki is going to start warming up. Ray Sadecki and Ron Taylor. They're both going to start warming up for the Mets. See if Neil Allen can get out of this. All right, bases loaded with 1 out, Bob Boone. We have a 3 coming off of the batter's card. It's a deep fly out to center field. And on a deep fly out, runner on third scores. Maddox is not a daring runner, I don't believe. He is a daring runner. I apologize. So the runner on third scores on the deep fly out. And daring runner on second takes third. Other runners hold. All right, so he's going to tag up. So it's a deep fly out for Boone to center field. Uzinski scores. And Maddox moves to third. Montanez holds at first. Boone gets an RBI. And it is 6-0 Mets. First and third with 2 outs for Larry Boa. All right, now Neil Allen is fatigued. And that's going to be it for him. And Boa's a switch hitter. It's going to be Ray Sadecki. But Boa's a switch hitter, so Sadecki does not get the advantage of the shutout card. But it's going to be Ray Sadecki coming in. That was a first. Coming in the bottom of the second. He's a left-handed pitcher, and he's a regular reliever. And 2 outs. No, excuse me, still 1 out. Nope, 2 outs. Boone just had a deep fly out, which is actually a sack. That's 2 outs. He got the RBI. Here's Boa. We got double sixes. Oh, boy. It's coming off the batter's card, and it's a double. Whew. That's going to score both runs. Boa gets 2 RBIs on this double. And the Phillies are just putting a beating on the Mets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-0 in the bottom of the second. Ugh. Here's Larry Christensen. Have a 6 coming off of the batter's card. It's a sharp ground out to shortstop Bud Harrelson over to Archamsky for out number 3. So that's a 6-3. But the Phillies send up all 9 batters again in the second. They score 4 runs and lead 7-0 after 2. Top of the third. First batter for the Mets is Bud Harrelson. We have an 8 coming off the pitcher's card. That's a hard ground out to shortstop Larry Boa over to Willie Montanez for out number 1. 6-3. And there's 1 away. Here's the pitcher, Ray Sadecki. He's staying in the game. And he is a regular hitting pitcher, so he keeps the pitcher hitting card. We have double 1s. And it's coming off the batter's card, and Sadecki gets a single. There's a man on first with 1 out for Tommy Agee. Got double 6s. It's coming off the pitcher's card, and that's a triple. He is a beast in the leadoff spot. Okay, thanks, Ivan. Triple for Agee. That scores Sadecki, and the Mets are on the board. Score is now 7-1. 1 out. AG on third. Here's Felix Mian. Got a 3 coming off the pitcher's card, and that's a walk. Now we got runners on the corners with 1 out. And let's check Christensen's 1, 2, 3. He's not fatigued yet. Here's John Milner. Runners on the corners, 1 out. And we got double 5s, and this is trouble. Well, it's coming off the pitcher's card, and it's a walk. Now the bases are loaded. Bases are loaded for Dave Kingman, and all of a sudden Dallas Green's going to have to get somebody warming up. It's going to be Warren Brewster. He's going to warm up for the Phils. Bases loaded with 1 out and Dave Kingman. And we have an 8 coming off of the pitcher's card. The Mets did not play the infield in. Or excuse me, the Phillies did not play the infield in. So that's an 8. It's a sharp ground out. Sharp ground out, first base occupied, double play. Runner on first is out. Other runners advance 1 base. So Kingman's going to hit an inning-ending double play. And that went to third base. That's going to be 5, 4, 3 for outs 2 and 3. And the Mets do get 1. Christensen gets out of a jam by some good defense. And Warren Brewster's going to take it easy in the dugout, but he's ready to go if we need him. Anyway, after 2.5 innings of play, it's the Phillies 7 and the Mets 1. Here's Dave Cash leading off again in the top of the third. And we have an 11 coming off of the batter's card, and it's a short single with a plus sign. So this is Cash's 3rd time on base, so he's going to attempt to steal. Actually, no, we're going to play it safe. Even though he has the plus sign, the Phillies are up 7-1. They're going to play it safe. Cash is going to stay at first base. Here's Jay Johnstone. And we have a 10 coming off of the batter's card. It's a short single with a question mark. They're both lefties, and that's a strikeout. That's out number 1, and strikeout number 1 for Sadecki. That brings up Mike Schmidt. He's 2 for 2 with 2 runs scored. There's a 3 coming off the pitcher's card, and that's a deep fly out to center fielder Tommy Agee. And daring runner on second. Well, he's not on second. He's on first. He's going to hold, and that's out number 2. Here's Greg Luzinski. Dave Cash is on first, 2 away. Got a 7 coming off of the pitcher's cards. Take a gamble. Running on center, or excuse me, runner on second. It's a single to center field. Daring center fielder makes a sliding catch, but the ball gets through for a triple. Slow batter stops at second with a double. Well, Luzinski's not slow, and Agee is daring. So he dives to attempt to make that catch. And that's going to be a triple for Luzinski, and that's going to score Dave Cash. Phillies get another run. Luzinski gets a triple. Greg Luzinski gets a triple. And he's on third with 2 outs. For Gary Maddox, center fielder. Maddox is 2 for 2 with 2 runs scored. Luzinski's on third. We got an 8 coming off of the batter's card. It's a chop ground out to third baseman Wayne Garrett over to Art Shamsky, and that's out number 3. But the Phillies do get another run, and they now lead 8-1 as we go to the top of the 4th. Christensen's coming back out with that big lead, and here's Wayne Garrett. We have a 10 coming off of the batter's card. It's a short single with a question mark. They are not the same handedness, so that is a single for Wayne Garrett. So Garrett's on first. He's fast. Mets need some action here. we're going to try to send him. So he has a fast rating. He gets a +1. Bob Boone's a 2. Let's see what we roll. We roll a 9, and we consult the steel chart. And a 9 on the steel chart. Steele, second base, he is safe. If pitcher is left-handed, which Christensen is not, the runner would be out. But Wayne Garrett steals second base. And it puts him in scoring position for Art Shamsky. Shamsky's 0 for 1 with a strikeout. We got a 6 coming off of the batter's card. It's a sharp ground out to third baseman Mike Schmidt. And on a sharp ground out, first base is occupied, double play. First base vacant, which it is because of Garrett stealing. He holds. And that goes 5-3. Schmidt over to Montanez for 1 out. That's going to bring up Jerry Grody. And we get a 3 coming off of the batter's card. And that's a foul out to second baseman Dave Cash. He, over in foul territory behind first base, makes the catch. And that'll be out number 2. Bud Harrelson. Garrett's on second with 2 outs. We get a 4 coming off of the batter's card. That's a single with a plus sign. And that's going to score Garrett. Harrelson gets an RBI single. And the Mets have their second run. And they're now down 8-2. RBI single for Harrison. Sadecki's going to stay in the game. And we have a 7 coming off of the pitcher's card. It's take a gamble. There's a man on first base. It's a wild pitch, runner to second. If the catcher was a number 3, it's a foul out, but Grody's a 2. All right, so he goes to second on the wild pitch. And Sadecki's still up to bat, and that's a 7 coming off of the batter's card, and that's a strikeout. That's number 3 for Christensen, and that ends the inning. But the Mets do get a run on Harrelson's single, RBI single, and after 3.5 innings of play, it's the Phillies 8 and the Mets 2. Ray Sadecki's still out there. Willie Montanez is the leadoff hitter, and it is a, off the batter's card, double sixes is a double. Montanez is 3 for 3. 2 singles and a double, a leadoff double for Montanez. And here comes Bob Boone. And we have a 7 coming off of the batter's card. It's a high fly out to left field. And that is John Milner. And a high fly out, runners hold. If he would have been on third base, he would have scored. But because of the careless rating of the Mets. But anyway, Boone flies out to left field. It's a 7 for out number 1. Here's Larry Boa. Montanez on second. And that's a 6 coming off of the pitcher's card, and that's a sharp ground out. Sharp ground out. Runner holds, and that ground out goes to second baseman Felix Mion over to Art Shamsky, and that's out number 2. Brings up Larry Christensen. He's staying in the game with a 6-run lead, and it's double 2s. It's coming off the batter's card. It's an infield line out to first baseman Art Shamsky. And the Phillies finally have an inning where they don't score a run. So after 4 innings of play, it's the Phillies 8 and the Mets 2. Larry Christensen back out on the mound. And that's a 7 coming off of the batter's card. It's a high fly out to left fielder Greg Luzinski for out number 1. Brings up Felix Mion. He's 0 for 2. Nope, he's 1 for 2. And that's an 8 coming off of the pitcher's card. That's a hard ground out to shortstop Larry Boa over to Willie Montanez for out number 2, 6-3. Here's John Milner. Milner's 0 for 1 with a strikeout and a walk. There's a 9 coming off of the pitcher's card. That's a deep fly out to right field. Jay Johnstone has that. And that's out number 3 for the Mets in the 5th. So after 4.5, it's the Phillies 8 and the Mets 2. Sadecki, going to try to get one more inning out of him here. And Dave Cash leading off again. Leading off for the 4th time in the 5th inning. That's a 4 coming off of the pitcher's card, and that's a walk. Mets pitchers are having a time of it today. Phillies bats are just on fire. All right, we have a 9 off of the batter's card. That's an infield pop out. Excuse me, off of the pitcher's card. It's going to go to shortstop Bud Harrelson, and that's out number 1. Cash holds it first. Here's Mike Schmidt. He has a couple runs scored. He's 2 for 3 with 2 runs scored. We have a 5 coming off the batter's card, and he walks. First and second with 1 out due to 2 walks. Here's Greg Luzinski. Have a 4 coming off of the batter's card, and that's another walk. He's walked, the bases loaded. And when it rains, it pours. And reliever Ron Taylor's getting up for the Mets. All right, bases loaded with 1 out for Gary Maddox. He's 2 for 3 with a couple runs scored. We have a 5 coming off of the batter's card, and that's a single. And on a regular single, man on first moves to second, other runners score. That's going to drive in 2. And that's going to cause Sadecki to come out of the game. He's finished. So the Phillies get 2 more, now lead 10-2. And it's first and second with 1 out. Willie Montanez coming up to bat. And Ron Taylor is going to be the 4th pitcher for the Mets here in the bottom of the 5th. And the first batter he'll face is Willie Montanez. All right. So first and second with 1 out. We have an 8 coming off of the batter's card. Or pitcher's card. It's a hard ground out to first baseman Art Shamsky. And a hard ground out. Runners advance 1 base. Alert defense, double play. Runner on first base is out, but the Mets are not the alert defense. So Montanez grounds out to first base, unassisted, for out number 2. Let the runners advance, and it's first and third with 2 outs for Bob Boone. Second and third with 2 outs for Bob Boone. And that's a 9 coming off of the pitcher's card. That's a slow ground out to shortstop Bud Harrelson over to Art Shamsky for out number 3. So Taylor comes in and stops the bleeding, but the Phillies do get 2 more. And now, after 5 innings of play, the Phillies lead 10-2. Larry Christensen strolls out to the mound for the top of the 6th. He's going to face Dave Kingman, and that's an 8 coming off of the batter's card. It's a sharp ground out to second baseman. And that's Cash to Montanez for out number 1. Here's Wayne Garrett. That's a 3 coming off of the pitcher's card, and that's a walk. So Garrett draws a 1-out walk. He's on first for Art Shamsky. We got a 6 off of the batter's card. It's a sharp ground out, double play. And that went back to the pitcher, Larry Christensen. It's going to go 1, 6, 3 for the double play, which ends any potential rally for the Mets. And after 5.5 innings, it's the Phillies 10, Mets 2. Ron Taylor back out in the mound. Taylor is a workhorse, so he's not subject to fatigue. That does not mean he will not get yanked. Okay, that's a 6 coming off of the pitcher's card. It's a chop ground out. Back to the pitcher, Ron Taylor, for out number 1. That was Larry Boa. That goes 1-3, and there's 1 away here in the bottom of the 6th. Larry Christensen up the bat. He's 0 for 3. Double 1s coming off the batter's card, and that's a single. So 1-out single for Christensen. He's on first. For Dave Cash, who is 2 for 3 with a walk and 3 runs scored. That's a 3 coming off of the batter's card. That's a deep fly out to center fielder Tommy Agee for out number 2. Christensen holds it first. And there's 2 away here in the bottom of the 6th. Here's Jay Johnstone. Double 2s coming off the pitcher's card. And that's a strikeout. It's the first strikeout for Taylor. And that sends the Phillies down here in the 6th. So, after 6 innings of play, it's the Phillies 10, Mets 2. Go to the top of the 7th. Larry Christensen's just cruising. And here's Jerry Grody. We have a 7 coming off of the batter's card. It's a high fly out to right field for out number 1. That brings up Bud Harrelson here at the top of the 7th. And it's a 6 coming off the pitcher's card. That's a short single. So Harrelson's on first with 1 out. And Taylor's coming up the bat, Ron Taylor. It's a 7 coming off of the pitcher's card, or batter's card, and that's a strikeout. And this is Taylor. First strikeout for, no, it's not the first strikeout for Christensen. It's the 4th strikeout for Christensen, and it's out number 2. All right. Top of the order, and Tommy Agee, man on first with 2 outs. Have a 9 coming off of the pitcher's card. It is a deep fly out to left fielder Greg Luzinski, and that's out number 3. Mets go down quietly in the 7th, leave a base runner stranded, and after 6.5, it's the Phillies 10 and the Mets 2. Taylor's coming back out for the Mets, trying to save the bullpen for Game 3. And we have an 11 coming off the pitcher's card, and that's a leadoff walk for Mike Schmidt. He's on base for the 4th time in this game. That's going to bring up Greg Luzinski, who tripled not his last time up, but in the 3rd inning. And we have a 5 coming off of the batter's card. It's a deep pitcher's card, excuse me. It's a deep fly out to left field for out number 1. Here's Gary Maddox. Have a 10. That was a 4. So we have a 10 coming off of the pitcher's card. That's a pressure play. And a pressure play in the advanced game against an alert team, which they are not. We pick a talent card. Against a careless team, which the Mets are, we pick gamble cards until we get an error card. And we get one on the first card. So we have a runner on first. And the result is roller to first base, runner reaches 3rd, and batter takes 2nd on error. Pitcher. Nobody's extra effort. So that's an E1. Maddox goes to first. Moves to second on the error. And Schmidt goes to third on the error. So it's second and third with one out for Willie Montanez. And we have an 8 coming off of the pitcher's card. It's a hard ground out to second base. Hard ground out. And the runners advance one base. That's going to score Schmidt, because I didn't bring the infield in. Well, at this point, doesn't really matter. And Maddox moves to third. Montanez grounds out 4-3 for out number 2. Here's Bob Boone. Double threes. It's coming off the batter's card. It's a short single, and that's going to score Maddox. When it rains, it pours. And that's an RBI for Boone. Maddox scores. Phillies are up 12-2. And Ron Taylor has the unfortunate job of staying in this game. Here's Larry Boa. Nobody on, or excuse me, Boone's on first with 2 outs. It's 7 coming off of the batter's card, pitcher's card. I keep saying that backwards today. At least I'm getting it right, I think. Okay, it's take a gamble. It's a deep fly out to left field. If the left fielder is a 0, which I do not think Milner is, no, he's a 1. But if he had been a 0, he would get hit on the head by a fly ball, and the batter would be safe at second. But that's going to be out number 3. Boa flies out to John Milner for out number 3. But the Phillies score 2 more and now lead 12-2 as we go to the top of the 8th. Larry Christensen whistling as he heads back out to the mound, and he'll face Felix Millan, and that's a 4 coming off the pitcher's card. It's a chop ground out to first baseman Willie Montanez, and he takes that unassisted for out number 1 here in the 8th. Here's John Milner. That's a 5 coming off of the pitcher's card. It's a sharp ground out to second baseman Felix Millan for out number 2. 4-3 and 2 away. Right now, I think the Mets just want to get home to Shea Stadium. Here's Dave Kingman. It's a 7 coming off of the pitcher's card. It's take a gamble. There's nobody on base. It's a double, bounces past third baseman. Alert, it would be a ground out, but the Phillies are alert. I apologize. So that's a ground out to third baseman Mike Schmidt. 5-3. And it almost seems fitting for this game. And the Mets are retired in order in the 8th and are trailing 12-2. Poor Ron Taylor's coming back out again. The first batter he's going to face is his counterpart. That's Larry Christensen. That's a 5 coming off of the batter's card. It's a high fly out to center field for out number 1. Here's Dave Cash. We have a 9 coming off of the pitcher's card. It's a slow ground out to second base. Felix Millan to Art Shamsky, and that's out number 2. Jay Johnstone. Nobody on, 2 outs. It's a 5 coming off the pitcher's card. It's a deep fly out to center field, and that'll be out number 3 for the Phils. So after 8 innings, it's the Phils 12, Mets 2. Christensen's going to go for the complete game. Why not? He's got a 10-run cushion, and Wayne Garrett up to bat here in the top of the 9th. Got a 3 coming off of the pitcher's card, and that's a leadoff walk. But the Mets have a lot of work cut out for them here. All right, so we got an 8 coming off of the batter's card for Art Shamsky. It's a hard ground out. Phillies are alert. Defense, that's a double play. And that goes to third base. So that's going to be a 5-4-3 double play. And the Mets are down to their last chance with your favorite player and mine to ever play Major League Baseball, Jerry Grody. And that's double twos. And either way, game is over with a strikeout. Strikeout number 5 for Christensen. Mets don't score in the ninth. And that's it. Our final score is the Phillies 12 and the Mets 2. Mets with their tail between their legs head home. And this series is tied. See if we can get the totals for you. Phillies had 12 runs on 1, 2, 3, 4, 16 hits and no errors. The Mets 2 runs on 6 hits and no errors. Winning pitcher is Larry Christensen, and George Stone gets the loss. This series is tied 2-2. It'll now head to Shea Stadium for 3 games. Excuse me, 2-2. It's tied 1-1, and we'll head to Shea Stadium, and all 3 games will be necessary. That's going to do it for this episode. If you hung around this long, I appreciate your patience. If you're a subscriber, thank you for subscribing as well. If you're not a subscriber, please consider doing so. Please like this video. Please leave me some comments. Help me get better. I don't think I made any mistakes this game, but that may not be true. And if I did, who cares, right? It's all about having fun. And that's going to do it for this episode. Until next time, take care.